So hello to this
Mm.
final part of our love framework, which has been a very interesting one, actually, very pertinent, very relevant, and I love the kind of landscape of the things we've covered in there, really. We've really gone very broadly. We talked about the Hollywood version of that and how it doesn't serve us. We talked about things that could get in the way of love. We talked about how we can begin to bridge the gap. We talked about how, so today I'm going to look to see how we can maybe pull a lot of those things together and leave us on a note of hope and ways in which we can begin to bolster and empower our relationship. So that was what I'm hoping we'll get through today. Um, so I'm going to put the first piece in, and this will anchor us from what we've done into probably where we might head into today, really. Just give me a second. Let me get my chat up. I'm not looking to share my screen. Okay, there we go. So this piece is called Past Residency. The past did exist, but no longer. Useful for reference and not much else. Poor place of residence, built from porous memories on brittle foundations, deluged by outdated emotions. All the while, a present plot lies vacant for the building of a better future. I'm going to read that again. Past residency. The past did exist, but no longer. Useful for reference and not much else. Poor place of residence, built from porous memories, on brittle foundations, deluged by outdated emotions. All the while, a present plot lies vacant for the building of a better future. What are you hearing here?
Um, I'm hearing that the past, um, it's good to acknowledge the past and all that it contains. It's
Mm,
got its usefulness. However, if we spend our time living in that past, it it doesn't serve us great purpose and can be detrimental. Therefore, we should use the past
mm.
and leave it where it is so that we can live in the now and build a future ahead.
I love that. That really traces the piece, doesn't it? And I love that acknowledgement of the past. We're not ignoring it, but the use is to learn from it in order to move forward.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. And there's some elements in there where it's talking about this idea of porous memories, brittle foundations, and deluged, outdated emotions. And there's this sense that very often, even what we're recollecting as the past is not as accurate and solid as we think it is. I think scientifically, they've now known that our memories don't get recorded almost like a videotape. There's just traces of it everywhere, and every time we recreate that memory, there's every chance that what we're recreating is imperfect and is changing and evolving based on our current conditioning and some of the things that we might. And that's why sometimes when they ask some people about you could have two children in the same household and they're remembering different versions of the same household. Not
Yes.
necessarily just because they've had different experiences, but because the way they're remembering it is different, because it's not an exact representation anymore. Hmm. So what's your thought on this idea that there's a present plot lies vacant for the building of a better future?
Well, I just think that, well, life is not static, is it? So
Mm,
life is fluid. So you either live life in that fluid way, or you become stuck.
mm,
And part of the um a present plot lies vacant. It's almost saying, there's 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 more to explore in life. There's there's more happening, and you've got a choice. You can either choose to stay static, stuck in old experiences that are outdated, that we can't even trust. I suppose it's like staying in that. It's like a mindset,
mm.
not being able to shift the mindset to the present, and therefore think about a way forward, a future.
Yeah, I love that. And so one of the things being pointed to here is this idea of opportunities cost. Because sometimes when people talk about being stuck, they think, well, I'm stuck, so therefore it just means I'm stuck. But actually, while you're stuck, where you're stuck, there is an opportunity cost of things that you could be doing instead, or experiences you could be having instead. That stuckness is stopping you from doing. So yeah. So it's pretty much an opportunity to be open, really, to the possibility that the future holds more that can draw you forward
You know
than
what? You
what
know
the
what's
past
just
might have.
sorry. What's just come through my mind? It's a
Yeah,
bit
go on.
like being stuck in the wrong relationship.
I'm hearing. Yeah, same old.
It's like being stuck in the wrong relationship. And what is the opportunity cost of that?
Mm,
But I suppose that could be like being stuck in the wrong job.
yeah. Mm, mm,
And the longer you're stuck in the wrong relationship or in the wrong job, you might not think it's costing you something.
mm,
You might not be like you're not might not be losing money
mm,
that you can see,
mm.
but you're losing something. You're losing time, and God knows what else you're losing because you're not free to see what else you are losing.
No, I hear that. I hear that. So it's very much a piece asking us to reflect, really, and to
Yeah.
think about what we want for our future and the future of where we want to be and what we want to achieve. Right. Anything else on that before I put something else in?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Let's go for this one. All right. This one is called Oodles of Love. Love sparks in an instant or marinates from slow boil. Could just as quickly evaporate or hit the proverbial wall. Takes a lifetime of caring to hold onto the barg. Fun and variety, acts of chivalry. Lots of letting go, forgiving from the soul. Selective amnesia to overcome collective aphasia. Less microbites eliminate the joy of love at first sight. It takes so much more than words from encyclopedias to grow love forever after. I read that again. Oodles of love. Love sparks in an instant or marinates from slow boil. Could just as quickly evaporate or hit the proverbial wall. Takes a lifetime of caring to hold on to the bug. Fun and variety, acts of chivalry. Lots of letting go, forgiving from the soul. Selective amnesia to overcome collective aphasia. Less microbites eliminate the joy of love at first sight. It takes so much more than words from encyclopedias to grow love forever.
Um, I just think of the different ways of thinking and experiencing love,
I hear that. Same rule.
and the different ways, different languages, different ways love can speak to us
Mm-hmm.
through different mediums, through different relationships, and at different points in our lives. But also, I think tied up in these expectations, so when you think about um, lots of letting go and forgiving from the soul, to me that talks about expectations. What do we expect of others? What do we expect of ourselves?
I love that.
And then I think about when we think about love, it's not the way we think about love is not common to all.
Mm. Say a bit more about that, not common to all.
I just think we've all got our unique take
Right.
on what love is.
I hear
And I
you.
think we've all got our own unique way of showing love. Whether our unique way is received by the people we try to show it to is another thing.
I love
But
that.
we've all got our unique way, which might not be acceptable to a lot of people. And even your own unique ways, it's subjected to change because it depends on your current circumstances, your environment, and who that object of love is being, whatever.
I hear that. I hear that. Wow. There's quite a lot in there, isn't it? I love the way you brought that out there. And interesting enough, that is the E in the love framework, is this expressing love in a way that connects with the person that you are in relationship with, not making the assumption that it's the same for both. And I suppose the invitation then is if it's not the same, how do you try and align it? If you're able to align it, then you can grow from there. If they're deal breakers, then we go back to your original point from the first poem. Are you in the right relationship? So I
Yeah,
think that's and I love the idea that if we try and take a universal love is universal in that it is love, but the expression of it might not be necessarily in the same way for everything. There are cultural precedents, there's different things. Like you say, even one individual might evolve in their priorities as to how love might be expressed with them and to them and in that way. So I suppose the invitation here is to be aware and not to say because it doesn't conform to this pattern, it's not love,
yeah,
but rather to try and understand, okay, in what way is this love to you? And this is what love means to me, or how I see love or interpret expressions of love, and then see whether there's a way. And as one of the things we've covered in previous editions of this particular series is that idea of communication, the ability to sit down and try and find common ground so that you can build from there. Anything else coming up on this one?
no, I think that those were the main.
Yeah. And it's interesting, this idea
I,
of,
I don't.
yeah,
Oh,
go
there is one sentence: selective amnesia.
Selective amnesia, yes.
Yeah,
That's the choice to forget certain things, a
yeah.
conscious choice to go. Because some people get stuck on. So going back to what we were saying earlier on about some people get stuck on, oh, you did this thing to me, and this is what it did to me, blah 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 blah, and really for love to build, you need to be able to, yes, address it, but you need to be able to then let go of that so you can move on. So that idea of a new plot for a better future.
Mm. I see. I didn't see no. Did I see a line in there about forgiveness? No, I didn't.
There is forgiving from the soul.
Oh, okay.
Lots of
There's
letting go, forgiving from the
from the
soul.
soul. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You cannot grow a love relationship without the idea of letting go, because the thing you hold on to gets in the way. It stays and builds and it disrupts connection. Um, and that's that when you look at the line where it says, lest microbites eliminate the joy of love at first sight. So it's this idea that those little things that you can't let go of, that you hold on to, you store at the bottom of your pile for when you're going to need it to defend yourself or attack the other person or whatever it may be. Those little bits begin to eat away at what has been built. Any other questions on that?
Mhm.
There's also
No,
this idea about love sparks in an instance or marinates from slow boil.
I
And
just think I just see that as the different ways in which people receive love and how they experience it.
where this is the thing, but then if people don't accept that that variance exists, some people have a narrative and belief that if it's not in an instant, it's not love, right?
Yeah,
And some people might argue that, oh, how can that be love? You barely know the person, right? So
yeah,
it's kind of that being open to the possibility that it could happen differently for different people
yeah,
and being open to that. Yeah. And I love the idea where it says takes a lifetime of caring to hold on to the bug.
yeah,
And I think there's this idea that actually you never stop working on relationship. Relationships get to a point where it needs no work and it just is there. And it's that idea that it's a living, breathing experience, building of relationship and love. Anything else on that one?
and I think so, and the back on the back of that is like I think some people think, oh, once I've got my partner or once I'm married, that's it. I don't have to do nothing else now.
Well, yeah. And I'm going to put my hands up. I think we men are more liable for that because I think there's something about the idea that part of the driver for us is the idea of conquest.
Yeah,
Like if a lady's doing hard to get and whatever, it challenges that sense of, no, I'm going to achieve this by winning this person over. And there's the danger that once you've achieved that, what was your focus that was driving you in that conquest, there is a possibility that you then relax and go, well, yeah, I've achieved that now. And then you kind of then stop the things that maybe actually were helping to
yeah,
build and connect with the person that you were going after. So I'm not saying it's just men, but I think men can be more simply because of that wiring we have of conquest. We go out, we capture, we achieve, we come home, say, look, this is my prize. This is what, do you see what I'm saying? That
yeah. That's
yeah.
it. There's no need to pursue anymore.
Yeah, because you've achieved and that you've got the feedback you need in yourself for that achievement.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you almost need to, if that's what's happening with the person, you almost need to create a different drive
yeah,
with regards to that same person so you can continue to have that motivation to build that relationship. Okay, anything else on that one?
no, that's it, I think.
Okay, I'm gonna put this one in. This one is called light share. What was once a solitary flame is where all these came from. A light from a light, so much greater a space. Now seen in the light, that is the power we wield when our light we share. I'm going to read that again, light share. What was once a solitary flame is where all these came from. A light from a light, so much greater a space, now seen in the light. That is the power we wield when our light we share.
I find this one a bit more trickier, but what's coming up for me is something to do with identity, individuals, being an
Mm-hmm.
individual.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it could be once we in a relationship, we have to share. We are still individuals, but we still share aspects of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me would be that is the power we wield when our light we share. The
Yeah,
light is us.
I like that.
The
Yeah.
light is the individual, and
Yeah.
we've all got our own light
Mm-hmm.
that we bring to the table.
I love that.
But we have to recognize our own light. In order to share it, we have to recognize it and value it. And sometimes we want to share our light with someone who doesn't recognize or can't recognize or struggle to recognize. And then that's probably where sometimes the problems could come in when there's no recognition or acknowledgement.
I love that. I love that. And
But
it's always,
it's a
yeah.
tricky one. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just talking what's coming in my head.
Yeah, but this is the point I was just about to make. That it's interesting to me when you say this is a tricky one, because ultimately the question after every poem is what comes up for you. There is no right answer. Is what does this inspire in you? And what inspires in you is such light, really, using the word intentionally here. What you've shared is light, the light of the fact that each of us bring a light to a relationship and what's meant to make relationships blossom and the point of bringing those two together, like you talked about identity, is that we bring the best of ourselves together, but we also bring the worst of ourselves together.
Yeah.
The worst of ourselves is to help the other person learn to live and deal with that, and the best of ourselves is to help the other person learn from that. So the whole idea is there is this opportunity that together, when we bring our lights together, we create a space where more can be seen and more can be done and more impact can be had. That is the power of relationship. And that's not just romantic relationships. It's the power of bringing different lights together and the idea that you can complement each other in a way where what is created is bigger and greater than just those lights being on their own. But I love what you say about the recognition of your light first that you're bringing to the table. And also the fact that you can't assume that someone else is able to recognize the value of that and the understanding of that, and you being aware of that and managing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Let's try this one. This one is called spot change. Spot the changes coming off me. Out of the conforming hoops emerges the me that's true. Now you see, so so can you too. Sorry. Let me read that again. Spot change. Spot the changes coming off me. Out of the conforming hoops emerges the me that's true. Now you see, so can you too.
Um, Two things came up for me
Mm-hmm.
first. One was self-awareness,
Mm-hmm.
and the other was acknowledgement of transformation.
I love that. Those are good subtitles. Now you can fill in the gaps.
I don't know about filling in the gap, but
You can
you
fill in
know,
the
I just think I think knowledge acknowledgement of transformation comes before self-awareness.
gaps.
Because sometimes we don't always transformation is a process
Mm-hmm.
of becoming self-aware
Mm-hmm.
about ourselves or others or whatever the situation is. And sometimes we don't even recognize that we're in a process of that transformation taking place. We don't recognize it sometimes.
I hear that.
But when we do recognize it, it's a good thing.
And it's a good thing because what do we get from that?
Well, I suppose we can get some clarity from that.
Mm,
Um, I suppose it's I suppose you know we all go through changes, but I mean one of the changes I've had to go through
mm,
was having to cope with my both of my children not living at home,
I hear you.
and and that was like I mean I had a taste of my daughter going off to university, but then my son was at home, so that was all right, and then she came back, and then that was okay. So I got, and then I got a change. I got a taste of. I had lots of temporary going and coming, going and coming, going and coming, and I think that was preparing me for the bigger transformation, the bigger changes that I'm going to have to deal with later on in
Hmm.
life. But at the time when they were going and coming, and it was smaller separation, you could say, um, you get caught up. I got caught up in the emotions of it all.
Hmm.
And sometimes those emotions was painful, but would have been unnecessarily, I could say some of it was unnecessarily painful. And that was to do the fact that I I wasn't ready and I struggled with changes that was outside of my control.
Mm,
But now when they eventually came to make the bigger changes now, which was going to be bigger and more permanent changes, I was more accepting of letting go. I was more accepting of myself, the way I felt. So I wasn't too hard on myself. I felt that I was more resilient and I was able to navigate the process of transformation better.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I mean, you couldn't have explained it any better. Using that story really laid everything
Mm,
out.
mm.
And what you were saying there about you being able to acknowledge what was going on, consciously make choices to accept it. Yeah, I hear that. Hmm.
Yeah. And this is why your framework is so great because you know what?
Yeah.
the story, I've not even literally sat down and thought of the story, that experience in that context.
Mm-hmm.
I've only it's only because I read the poem
Mm,
and because of what we're talking about, it's triggered that example. But
mm.
at the time of that example, I didn't have the tools.
I hear you. I
I
hear you.
didn't have the tools. I have the tools now, but I didn't have the tools then. So sometimes having the tools
Mm,
can help to move you along that transformation transformation process. Not necessarily faster,
mm.
but I would say maybe more aware, make you more aware, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And give you the opportunity to kind of check yourself, check check how you're responding
Yeah.
and or how you're showing up.
Yeah. And I wanted to link it back to something you said earlier about being kinder to yourself
Yeah.
regarding how you're feeling about it
Yeah.
and the impact it's having on you. That, okay, it makes sense that it will feel this way because of this is happening. And that's okay. That in itself, that simple piece there is powerful.
So
Oh, I love that.
and this is where your grief framework will come in very
I
handy.
was just about to say that. Yeah, yeah. I was just about to say, now you're really committing me to doing that next now. You've segued nicely into that one. Our next framework is
Yeah,
going to be
yeah,
grief now,
yeah, I'll be
committed.
there.
Dealing with change.
Yes, dealing with change indeed. And I
Um,
think and I think there's change, especially with the way life is and the way the world is showing up at the moment, with
mm,
not just changes in your personal life, changes in the family,
mm,
changes in your environment, changes in the structures and under which we all live. There's just change and uncertainty everywhere. So dealing with change is a massive thing. And if people can have the tools to deal with change, that's probably one of the biggest things you can do for people these days. Because when we can't deal with change, there's a consequences if we deal badly with change, isn't there?
no, I hear that. I hear that. And that's why we then now you get into the mental health and kind of how people deal and process and what we call second arrow, that kind of now beginning to experience pain upon pain as a result. Okay, I'm sold. We'll have a look at that the next framework. So thank you, Claudette. Uh, and now I'm gonna see if I can pull out a few more bits out of this particular piece because it's interesting that it's only got 5 lines, but there's a lot hidden in those 5 lines.
Yes.
Um, so the idea that change is something that is continual. Change, being aware that you are changing and changes are happening around you and that impact you. And then there's this line out of the conforming hoops. So this again goes to something we've said much earlier in this framework about how sometimes, and certainly been my experience, that we can change ourselves in order to try and fit in or make peace in a relationship, when actually the greatest service we can do to ourselves is to own who we really are and then ask ourselves the question, is this the kind of person that this other person is willing to accept?
Mhm.
So rather than you losing the essence of who you are in order to just conform or make peace, which never really in the end serves either party, to be fair, because you're not genuinely being who you are.
Yeah.
And that person doesn't really know who they're dealing with because you're changing all the time. So there is that. And when I say change, I don't mean that change, I mean changing the essence of who you show yourself to be, as opposed to
Yeah.
genuinely are. Um, and then here's this bit about emerges the me that's true. So then you make a decision that, okay, you know what? I am going to be me. Now here's the interesting piece. Now you see, so can you too. So it's like,
Mm.
okay, you daring to be your true selves gives everyone else that space in which
Yeah,
to do so themselves. And then you begin to build, and then we go back to our first piece about a new plot for a better future. You can then bring the truth of both of you to build something truer, something better.
yeah. That's great. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. So,
Yeah, because it's yeah, because I think sometimes, and I think I'm kind of guilty of the one. Sometimes, right, I can accept there's lots of things changing with me, right?
hmm,
But sometimes, and I know there's lots of changes going on around me, but
hmm,
sometimes I don't always pick up on the impact it's having on me.
hmm,
I don't always pick up on that quick enough, I should say, sometimes. Or
hmm.
or if I dismiss it or deny it, I don't know.
I hear that. And again, part of that, and part of what this space is meant to help do is create that time for people away from the busyness of life to now think about these things and reflect on
Yeah,
this. So the poetry is calling people to sit down and really think rather than just go through life in kind of like almost automated mode, really, like I say, and then not being aware of the impact. Well, they will know something is happening, but might not be able to attribute it to what it is, right? So that's what I'm hoping people will get from this. And even if they're not here live, if they spend the time to watch this online,
yeah, yeah,
then they're making space for themselves to be able to reflect on something.
yeah.
Okay. So this one is called In Good Company. How would you know you were in good company? Where the energy at play is so welcoming, where there's a place for people of all shades and sizes, when conversations are filled with healthy curiosity, where it's hard to tell new meets from long-term acquaintances, when it feels like time is a miser while exchanging departing pleasantries, where thoughts linger with the experience of wonderful generosity. That is the legacy of being in good company. I'll read that again. Good company. How would you know if you were in good company? When the energy at play is so welcoming, where there is a place for people of all shades and sizes, when conversations are filled with healthy curiosity, where it's hard to tell new meets from long-term acquaintances, when it feels like time is a miser while exchanging departing pleasantries, where thoughts linger with the experience of wonderful generosity. That is the legacy of being in good company.
That's really nice. I like that poem. I like that one. It's got a rhythm. I don't know if it's the way you read it. I don't know if it's the way you read it. But it's like it's bouncing.
I hear that.
Um,
I hear
I
that.
thought the few things that came up to mind: being yourself,
Mm-hmm.
accepting of others,
Mm-hmm.
being open,
Mm-hmm.
and element of trust.
I love that. I love that. I love the way you just pick the nuggets out of things just like that. It's like, yeah. Mm, yeah.
And that's what I think. And this just this is like being with a good friend,
Mm-hmm.
and you go and have a cup of coffee,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just sitting and chatting, you know,
No,
and and the conversation is flowing, and it's flowing from this to that, and all different things, and you both chipping in, and you're relaxed, and there's no pretense. You're not forcing anything.
I hear that.
Everything is just flowing naturally as it should,
No, I hear that.
without um anyone forcing or trying to what's the word? You're not trying to make you're not trying too hard to make conversation happen. And through that relaxed, trusting conversation, you have that relationship that is open and honest and secure.
I love everything you described there. Yeah, I love everything you described. And what's interesting to me is the reason why we find such environments so nourishing is because that is the environment we were created for. And that is the environment we will create if we let go of all the other things that we hold on to. If we let go of the fear, if we let go of the agenda, if we let go of the need to control, if we let go of all the limiting beliefs and things that get in our way, if we just show up and trust and be present, we can create this together. And and,
Yeah,
and yeah,
yeah, letting go of the expectations of people and
yeah,
expectations of yourself and
yeah, yeah. And what's so good about this within the context of relationship that we're talking about is that actually you find out that you need to not have things. So it's not like you need to go and find magic to make it work. It's more like you need to let go of the things that are getting in the way of it working.
yeah,
That is kind of the sense of it. It's this idea that actually if we let go of the baggage, if we let go of the, so it takes us back to our very first piece. If we let go of the porous memories, if we let go of the brittle foundations, if we let go of the deluge of old emotions, if we're able to have a true reset where we release and give each other a new chance of being, there is a chance
yeah,
that you will create this good company feeling. And to be honest, if you're able to create good company with each other, then there's nothing to stop that from growing because it's our natural environment where we're created to thrive in. And that's what we should be our aim to create for each other. It's
yeah,
an environment where you feel safe, all the things you've talked about, really, where nobody's trying
yeah,
to control things like that. Anything else on this one?
yeah,
Hmm. Right. I've got two more pieces, and if I've put these in just so we can end this whole conversation on relationship on a good note, on the idyllic. So this one is called Love We Hold. What we have, that we hold. Between these hands, there has been highs and lows. Between young and grown old, seeing many a season, weathered hot and cold. This life we choose, this love we hold between these hands. I'll read that again. Love we hold. What we have, that we hold. Between these hands, there has been highs and lows. Between young and grown old, seen many a season, weathered hot and cold. This life we choose, this love we hold between these hands.
hmm. I think love we hold. The title is a bit baffling. I like the way you use the hands. And if I'm gonna go with the hand, the bit with the hands,
Yeah, God.
I'm gonna think it's about us choosing
Hmm.
which bits to hold on to,
I hear that.
which bits that we're gonna hold close to our hearts,
Hmm.
and not everything we hold on to is good for us.
Hmm.
But then I see holding as can be suffocating
Okay, there's that.
because sometimes we hold on to whether it's just the mindset or the experience, we hold on to it with fear of losing it maybe,
I hear that.
or fear of it changing,
Hmm.
that we can hold too tight and choke it.
Ah, I love that. I love that. I love that. Yeah. No.
So I'm just thinking of, I just got some hands. I can just see hands,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear that. It's
and sometimes, you know, there are those who can hold love very loosely,
mm-hmm.
and I think sometimes it's about getting a balance because I think you need to hold love not in an overly loose way, but you need to hold it in a loose way
Mm.
so that it can breathe,
Uh-huh. I hear that.
so that it can grow,
Mm-hmm.
so that there's space for the people who are in that relationship,
Yeah.
so that it can evolve.
Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom in what you're sharing there. A lot of wisdom. And something tells me there's a lot of lived wisdom in what you shared.
Yeah. So that's the way I see it.
Yeah. No, no. Everything you said works. And this is the beauty of poetry, right? You've taken
Mm.
the metaphor of hand and love and relationship, and you've formulated a framework around that, which makes absolute sense. What I'm going to tell you about this particular piece, and that's not to say anything you've said there can be negated because they're all bang on, is this is actually inspired by a picture where there was an old man and woman holding hands, right? So that's what inspired it. And the idea was, okay, what is the significance of what's between those hands that they hold? And the idea that they chose that. And because they were older in generation, it was the idea of how much have they been through that they still make the choice to hold
Mm.
hands. So that's really what the piece was
Yeah.
predicated on. And the idea being that let's not assume that because they're holding hands means that everything has been smooth sailing in their relationship. Do you see what I'm trying to say? And
Yeah.
everything has been perfect and whatever. But they, through it all, still made the choice because
Yeah.
they wanted to hold on to each other.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So the poem is all about their experiences.
Well,
Their
I didn't know
experience.
that. I just saw a picture of them. So again, I
Yeah.
obviously I'm
But
just
the words would say, because it's like they're holding hands. So
yeah,
when you go into like and the highs and lows,
yeah,
being young and grown old,
yeah.
you know, seeing many seasons,
Mm,
whether hot or cold, this life we chose.
yeah,
Because when it's about choice in the end.
yeah, yeah. You can choose.
Yeah, we can choose.
Yeah, yeah. And what's interesting, actually, I've just realized that second, the next line from where you stop there, this love we hold, is
Yeah.
their love. It's not love based on someone else's.
Else it, yeah,
And it's not, it's love that they fashioned based on them understanding each other. It's love they
yeah,
fashioned based on their own interactions and
and
understanding of how they
yeah,
respond to each other in love. So it's their love that they're holding, not some template love from somewhere else. And they've had those seasons to develop that, to nourish that, to understand that, to continue to evolve that. And yet they still make this choice. It's their choice.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear that. Right. Anything else on that?
I think that's it.
Okay. Well, believe it or not, then it looks like we might actually get through all the pieces we had on the table, which again is almost feels like a miracle, really. Um, this one is called Heart Talk. Walk and talk on the moon or the sidewalk. Stroll and converse by the river or the seaside. Heart to heart. That's the draw. The where matters no more. I'll read that again. It's called Heart Walk. Walk and talk on the moon or the sidewalk. Stroll and converse by the river or the seaside. Heart to heart, that's the draw. The where matters no more.
I don't know. This one comes across as the most trickiest one of the day. I
What makes it tricky?
I
Tricky
don't
what's
know.
it?
No, because I'm a bit dumbfounded, I think.
Yeah.
What am I going to say about this? This sounds like a conversation with yourself.
Okay. Say more. Say more.
Um,
So
yeah,
how might
it's like
this be a conversation with yourself?
where one is checking in with their own heart
I like that.
and the
I like that.
condition of their own heart.
Mm-hmm.
This is about reflection,
I hear that.
spending time with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and I suppose acknowledging what's going on in your heart.
I like that. I like that. That certainly works. Yeah. Yeah. That would work. Definitely would work if that was self-reflection on yourself. So
Yeah,
you're walking and you're having an internal dialogue. Doesn't matter where you're having that dialogue, but you're checking
yeah,
in. So I hear that. I hear that.
yeah. That's what I see with that one.
Yeah. And again, this is the beauty of poetry, right? That works as a self-talk. But to give you a context to where that piece came from, actually came from a piece of art. And actually it's the silhouette of two people walking together. But the environment was nondescript, shall we say. So you couldn't really make out clearly what the environment was. And the idea there was really that in a relationship, you come to the place where being with each other is what matters most, not so much where you are. And this idea that very often people might predicate love based on certain environmental circumstances, being a certain
Yeah,
the house that I think I should be in, or the kind of car I think I should be driving, or the status or things around that. And really, the invitation is to consider that is love in its purest form really as concerned about those as it is about the people who are in the love relationship itself.
yeah. I was just, and I just thought,
Hmm.
how many? Oh, I don't know. How many of us really dare to spend the time? And I say dare to
Hmm.
spend the time to actually have that internal dialogue,
I hear that.
to have that self-talk and that self-reflection. How many of us dare to sit? I mean, we find it hard to sit still as it is to for other things. Never mind that, and because that can be quite scary.
No, I hear that. I hear that. And that's why we have a lot of entertainment and a lot of numbing, shopping therapy, different things we do just so we don't have to sit with ourselves and take that journey within.
Yeah,
No, I hear that. Which is why I said to you, the space framework is the foundation for all the bits, really, that I do. And it's about that piece you've just pulled out. What is the value and benefit of us taking that journey within? What are we afraid to find? and to help people realize that the thing you're afraid of is the thing you need the most. And it's not is not as negative as people think it is, because it is the foundation from which you can build this better future we pointed to in our first piece. That land, that future plot, where you can then realize the part the past has to play, but also the fact that there's opportunities for the future. Yeah. Well, Claudette, thank you very much for your company as we've
Yeah, sure.
navigated to the
Yeah.
end of our close
Yes, we've not.
of
Yeah,
framework.
yeah, we
We
have
we have
done
got that
another completed framework.
framework. Yes, indeed.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough.
Oh well,
Can't thank you enough.
you're most
So, so,
welcome.
so when my daughter comes tonight now, we'll be eating our fish and chips, and then she'll be asking me, "What did you do today, mommy?" And I'll be telling her about today, the poetry, and she'll look at the poems, and because she writes poems and that sometimes, and
Oh,
so
lovely, lovely.
yeah, she writes some poems. But you know what? I came across a book,
Hmm.
and I've made several attempts to put that book in my bag to bring it to show it to you,
Okay.
and I've not managed to do it. I think what I will now is the end of the this framework.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a conscious effort to find it
Hmm.
and put it in a place so that it will go in my bag on Sunday.
I look forward to seeing this said book. If you think highly of it, then I certainly would like to have a look at it.
Do you know something? I was just in the charity shop and I was just happened to they get all sorts of books in there, and I'm always doing recycling the books and getting rid of books, and I just looked at the cover and it didn't have many words. It was a very blank, plain looking book. But the cover,
Mm.
the words on the few words on the middle of the cover drew my attention. And when I once I opened it, that was it. I had to buy it,
I
you
get
know.
that. Oh, that's a very powerful that's a very powerful thing for a book to have that impact on you. So just so before we go, because I know you've got to rush off anyway, what are you taking away from today? What's the biggest thing that you're taking away from today?
Um, the biggest thing I'm taking away from today is um the process, to recognize the process of transformation, to make the space to do that internal dialogue,
Uh,
and to use the tools that I now have.
Beautiful, beautiful. For me, I'm taking away from today that poetry has many meanings,
It
and
really does.
it's a powerful tool for helping people draw their own meaning from things so that they can reflect. And it's a powerful tool for reflection, like you rightly said. So it
Yeah.
encourages me to continue this work. Thank you so
Yeah. Please do.